Hey, what's up everybody? Hardscape video. As you can see here, Hardscape is completely set up, but how do we get to this point? That's what this video is all about. So hold tight. You get to look through and see the whole entire setup of how we get from a completely empty, beautiful acrylic tank like this and get it filled with the Hardscape. All the other videos in the build will be around on the channel. You guys can find them from the plumbing to the sump filtration system, all that stuff. Actually building the stand itself will actually be in there too. So you know, look for those videos if that's what you're looking for, but this is the Hardscape video. Hey everybody, we're here in my shop doing some Hardscape once again, getting ready to put together the first of the two 120-gallon aquariums. I'm pretty excited, but let's talk about some of the materials that I'm using just to give you guys an idea of what's happening in the next little bit of the video. First things first, this is spider wood, okay? Commonly referred to as spider wood. Try not to get it too confused. Now, these little pieces I actually got from the Aquarium Co-op. These are some nice little pieces. You guys can order these up. If you're in the United States, you can order these if you want them. They're gonna go in conjunction with something else I got there, which is this bag of spiderwood pieces. So basically, when they're harvesting the spiderwood, they end up with all these little chunks. They clean these off and bag them up for you, and I think this is awesome because I can make really interesting pieces out of stuff like this. These pieces I ordered off of Amazon. They were pretty affordable. Can't really complain too much. They are a chunk of spiderwood. Is this a great piece? No, I wouldn't say this is a great piece, but this is a perfect opportunity for us to modify it. You see I've got it mounted here to my, my vice clamp on my workbench here. These are my ghetto workbenches. You guys can see I normally do concrete here. Got my concrete stuff hanging around. We're gonna be drilling into those. Just use my standard DeWalt, not an impact drill, with a Forstner bit. And the Forstner bit, basically, it's just gonna remove the material a lot better and leave a flat space so that I can, once I drill in there, I can glue in some of those new pieces, right? Now, one of the other products I'm using, I bought this at a local store. I don't know if you can find this specific one online, but I'll post a link down there in case you're trying to find some of this. This is like the spray foam that you normally use in, cracks and things and stuff like that in your house. You're gonna just spray it in there, pretty simple. Just a word of caution, this stuff does not come off your clothes, and it won't really come off your hand unless you use some sandpaper or something like that to get it off. So always use protective gloves. Some kind of protective eyewear is probably a good idea too. And always rock a shirt that you don't mind having to get a replacement for, if you know what I'm saying, because you'll probably get this on you. I certainly got it on myself. So just be forewarned. But the good stuff about this is different from the typical spray foam. This actually has, this basically has nothing that will leach into the water, whereas some of the other brands have stuff that will leach into the water. Even if it is cured properly, it still has some chemicals in it. This is and this is colored black instead of more often than not you see the traditional spray foam is sort of like that off yellow white stuff, which doesn't work very well when blending it in with our rock. Now this rock, I actually got this from the Aquarium Co-op, so props to the Aquarium Co-op for helping out here. I got this for free, gratis, but this is the exact same Sierra stone that you would get for, not this exact piece obviously, but this is the same type of Sierra stone you get from the Aquarium Co-op. I literally raided the warehouse and took a bunch of chunks that either didn't fit in a shipping box or were just kind of, this one's not that great, right? So if you guys are wondering where the not so great pieces went, they went to this guy, mainly because I'm going to be taking, I take my hammer and I break them apart into little chunks and then use them that way in conjunction with the spray foam. Anything else that I'm using here today is probably pretty straightforward. So let's just get to the action shots, right? All right, makes sense, right? Any questions? You know what to do. So, what's the difference here with a Forstner bit? You can see this is a flat cutout bit. The little sharp part here cuts it out. It's going to cut out a perfectly round cutout. Now, took a piece, cut it on the chop saw, so we have a nice flat. I mean, we basically need this to be flat so we can size up our bit to it. So as you can see, that bit's about the right size. Then we just have to think about our placement as to where this is gonna exactly go to kind of spruce up this piece. And I'm thinking about right there is gonna be pretty good. So, take our drill. Oh my, change the bit out. Make ourselves all right. That's about right. So we size that up. We got a nice flat spot that we can glue this to and just create ourselves a whole snazzy thing going on, right? Let me show you guys. Take this off the clamp. So that right there is the difference with a Forstner bit. It makes a nice flat cutout. So when we take our super glue, we'll be able to glue that right onto that nice flat part right there. So we'll be able to put this, position it, whichever direction we want. We have a nice flat spot to glue it into place, right? What glue are we using today? Because I know I'm gonna get the question for that, right? People are gonna ask, what glue are you using? I use the DAP Rapid Fuse. I find this to be the best one. I don't know why, it just works the best out of all of them that I've used. And so I just stick with it. Does that make sense? It works good, so I use it. The substrate that is in here, a little bit confusing to people. The substrate that is in here, we have two different types of substrate in this aquarium. The first and foremost being fluval stratum. This is one of the main substrates that's actually in this aquarium. I find it to be one of my favorite plant substrates. I know it doesn't have, it doesn't do 100% by itself, and the reason for that is that it is a clay-based substrate, so it's going to do a lot. It's going to buffer the water. It's going to keep my pH down. This is going to be a shrimp tank, a Caridina species, and the other substrate that's in here is actually the Eco Complete. That's what you'll see through the center of the aquarium. Reason for that, let's make up for a little bit of some of the shortcomings of the fluval stratum. Although I have had a lot of success with just this substrate by itself in a lot of nano aquariums. But in a really big system like this, I find it better to mix some substrates, go for some additions that we're looking for that could be missing from just one singular product, right? The Sierra stone that is in here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I don't know. I have no idea how many stones are in here. But a lot of the stuff actually is built and is sort of modular in the fact that I can actually pull out large sections later on if I like, without actually just taking out one stone at a time, stuff like that. There's a lot of things that I'll be able to do that you wouldn't typically be able to do with just the stones plopped in and sitting on top of each other. I can actually take a large structure and move it if I like, which may be important to you, it may not be important to you, but for me, I find that to be the best way to escape my tanks. I like to have them have some semi-permanence, right, with a lot of weight in certain areas, but I can also move them around if need be later on. The spray foam that we used in here is, incredibly modular, but it is a big mess, and so I would warn anybody if that's the road you're going to go down. It also takes a good amount of time to cure, so it is going to take about 48 hours to cure. It's not going to be ready. You're not going to spray it down and have it ready to go right away. You do have to let it set. Then you have about 48 hours for it to fully harden, and then it becomes really lightweight and whatnot. So if you were to just put it in on something, obviously it will end up floating because it is, it's porous and cellular and traps in the air. So, it'll float like a boat. Sierra stones and everything in here is a pretty modular setup. I am able to move stuff around, which is important to me. Might not be important to you guys. If you were to get some of these Sierra stones, you could just probably put them in. Now, I would like to note to anybody out there, yes, these Sierra stones and the spiderwood and the fluval stratum were so generously donated by the Aquarium Co-op. So I guess this is sort of sponsored by Aquarium Co-op. If you don't know who Aquarium Co-op is, go check them out right now. Huge YouTube channel, but that's not the main point why I would say to check them out. Check them out because you can go to the online store if you're in America and get top-notch service wherever you are. You get stuff shipped to your door right away, whether it be plants, rocks, obviously driftwood, stuff like that. You can get a ton of products from them, and I trust them wholeheartedly. Not because they sponsor this, I trust them and they have really good products. So speaking of that, we have the spiderwood that is in here. This is a lot of pieces of spiderwood. The main thing though I would mention to somebody is it's a bunch of small pieces that I kind of collected along with one of the bags of little spiderwood pieces that I got from Aquarium Co-op and combined it all together to sort of make what we got here now. One of the big things I wanted to focus on was making sure that I have a lot of different areas to plant and to keep them sort of segregated from each other with separation. So there's paths moving through here, there's paths moving through there, separate areas where this isn't going to be a singular plant. This scape is going to have a lot of different plants in it, and I wanted to focus on making sure that I have pockets of areas for planting, because there's not even going to be just one plant down in the front. You know, personally, I like the Iwagumi style stylistically to look at, but as an aquarium that's in my operation, I can't dedicate one whole aquarium to just one plant. You know, I have serious collectoritis, you guys know that. I even happen to have, hold on, I even happen to have a bunch of plants right here. You know, just as an example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different species of plant right here of the tissue culture variety, and some other ones also that will be going in here. So stay tuned for the planting, that's coming up pretty soon, but right now, let's stick with the hardscape. So, that being said, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's lots of little spaces here where a lot of medium plants can fit along the center. A lot of the taller plants can have their own little areas in the back, and along with you know, short foreground type plants will have their own little areas where they can grow in. I find that to be pretty important in an aquarium like this. It's a 120-gallon aquarium that is going to be only shrimp, maybe some small fish, but I'm certainly not stuck with any kind of fish that may or may not be going in here, because this will be dedicated to shrimp. There might be some accompanying fish, but this is going to be a shrimp scape. And I will say, from my own personal experience, it does get kind of boring taking care of a shrimp's, you know, a shrimp tank or a shrimp colony that is only existing in something that is very plain, like just a substrate tank with a sponge filter. I find that personally to become very, very boring, and it doesn't have stuff to work on, things to maintain, because once the shrimp are breeding and kind of doing their own thing, yes, you have to cull shrimp and a few things, but that essentially just becomes, all right, it's just a breeding tank. And I want this to be both. This tank will actually be both things. This will be not only a breeding tank, but will also be an ecosystem in which the shrimp are living in, and I'm maintaining for overall the aesthetic appeal along with the ecosystem side of it. So most of the plants in here will all come from around the same water parameters, the same temperature, that kind of stuff, and that's all that I'm going to be limiting it to. So I'm not going to say, oh, this is only, you know, Southeastern Asian plants or anything like that, or only South American plants or only African plants. I'm going to be taking all sorts of plants from the same type of water parameters, same lighting, and just be mixing them in just to kind of make a sort of, I guess, sort of a kaleidoscope of plants and stuff like that. So that's the main plan, and that's how it's coming along. You know, hopefully this is something that helped you out. If you do have any questions or comments, complaints, any of that kind of stuff, post them down below, and you can let me know, you know, if there's something you want to see from me in the future, and we'll just keep rocking and rolling. All right? Later.